Hey everybody, this is the Divine's Finest. Welcome back to my podcast, you guys. This is episode 21, and today we're going to be talking about healing means learning the difference between intuition and anxiety, okay? So, and before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It does help my channel push out there into the YouTube algorithm field and so much more. And also be sure to check out my both of my amazing transformative journals, you guys. All right, I have a free 7-day secure self journal, and if you want to go even deeper, I do have a 28-day Decentering Men Journal, so make sure you check those out on my Gumroad. All right, everything's in the description box below. So let's go ahead and get into this, okay? So this is going to be really important because you guys need to know, especially if you're on a healing journey like I've been, that it's important to know the difference between listening to your intuition as opposed to anxiety, because they both feel completely different. So, if you've ever felt torn between listening to your gut and calming your fears, this episode is definitely going to be for you. Because there's a real difference between intuition and anxiety pretending to protect you. So when you're healing, especially from heartbreak, abandonment, or trauma, those wires can get crossed fast. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down in a way that might finally click for you, okay? And this is one thing I definitely had to learn as I was healing my attachment style and doing my rituals, because if you don't already have my journal, I actually have a healing ritual that you'll follow every single day that's going to help calm your nervous system down and to help you stop spiraling over that specific person who is distancing themselves, for example, okay? But here's how you know that it's anxiety, okay? So, when you get anxious, it feels like you need to know right now, like your safety depends on it. Like if you don't get the answer, the text, the call, you're not okay. Okay. That's not your intuition. That's actually your nervous system screaming from a past wound. Now, when it comes to intuition specifically, it's actually quieter. It does not panic. It actually whispers. So it might say something like, this feels off. You don't have to stay. Okay. It could sound something like that, or it could sound something like, you're safe to walk away even if things don't explain themselves. Or it can sound something like, you can be telling yourself, you don't need to prove your worth here. So it'd be along the same lines as that, okay? Intuition does not create chaos. It creates clarity. So here's the reason we may confuse these two, dynamics, okay? So for example, if you grew up in a home where love felt inconsistent, or maybe you've dated emotionally unavailable people, you may have learned to call it panic gut instinct, okay? I was like, am I saying this right? So you may have learned to call panic, quote unquote, gut instinct, right? You're used to hypervigilance. You're used to walking on eggshells. So your nervous system associates anxiety with truth. But healing means relearning safety. It means calming the body first, then listening. You can't hear your intuition over the sound of survival mode. And that's why it's so important to start healing your anxious attachment style, because I'm telling you guys, this is what happened to me, is because before I start healing my anxious attachment style, I would basically not even notice when red flags were flagging in front of my face. I would ignore it. I thought that my intuition was just, it's not that I wasn't really aware of it, but you would just ignore it. without even like noticing it. Okay, if that makes sense. But like once I started healing it, then whenever I felt like something was off, I would feel calm about it. You know what I mean? It would be like, something's not quite right. As opposed to like being in panic mode, like, oh my God, like, why are they doing this or whatever the case may be. Okay. There's a big difference. So I'm hoping that makes sense. Okay. So, here's another thing that actually helped me tell the difference between anxiety and intuition. Okay. Now, for example, I've had plenty of instances where I've had, like my former specific person, Taz, I've mentioned before in some previous episodes, right? Where I remember there were moments where, like, when I was texting him, like, if it's been, I don't know, like, even though I would consciously know he's busy at work, for example, right? Because he's that type of person, right? Where he's always busy with work. But then, like, my anxiety would kick up and I'd be like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on? And then I would, like, kind of go in a spiral and I would get real kind of anxious, like, I wonder when he's going to respond back. I would be like, looking on my phone, checking to see if he messaged me and, things like that. So that's one example. Okay. As opposed to now, and I'm still working on this till today, where now I'm just like, I don't even care when this person, like, even though he's no longer in my life, but if somebody close to me were to message me, I don't even get really anxious that much anymore. Okay. So that's a sign that you've leveled up, that you've healed your anxious attachment style. Okay. Another thing, here's another thing that I used to overthink. Okay. I could be overthinking things like, she seemed off. Did I do, or, he or she, whoever I'm dealing with, right? I'd be like, did I do something wrong? Especially if it's been several days since I heard from the person, or several hours or something like that, right? Or I would just, think things like, what if I'm just being too sensitive? Okay. Because I've been told a few times, guys, where I've been told I was too sensitive, and I'd be like, oh my God, really? Okay. So for a long time, I couldn't tell, like I mentioned, I could not tell what was intuition and what was anxiety. Okay. Until and here's what really helped me differentiate this is, now this is kind of part of my routine as well too, you guys. And I've mentioned it in previous podcast episodes where now, like, just about every day I ask myself, how am I feeling right now? What do I need emotionally, or what do I need physically? That's usually how I start my day. There were a couple other things I did like a self check-in, like almost every single day, like 2 to 3 times a day for quite a while. And then I just pretty much it kind of leveled, went down to a point where I just pretty much just ask myself, what do I need right now? Like once a day, and I kind of just go on with my day. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I do now. But, that's exactly what I did. But what you could do if you were starting out this journey is you can also ask yourself this one question, which is, if I already felt safe and whole, what would I feel right now? Okay. So it's not what I want to feel, but it would be what you actually want to feel in your body when you pause, breathe, and check in with yourself. And that shift can definitely help you, on top of the one that I just gave you as well too, what I did. All right. So here's the reframe that set me free. So when I stopped acting on every anxious impulse, when I stopped texting back to seek reassurance, when I stopped mistaking my fear of abandonment as intuition, that's when the real healing started. because intuition is rooted in truth. Anxiety is rooted in fear. And you don't have to live in fear anymore. So, with that being said, I'm going to close out with an affirmation. I want you guys to say this with me. I no longer confuse panic with truth. I am learning to hear myself clearly beneath the noise of fear. So if you've been asking, is this my intuition warning me? Or is this my anxiety spiraling? Well, I hope this episode really helped you come to your center. You don't have to live in your head anymore. You can come back to your body. You can trust yourself again. And this is where your power lives. So with that being said, you guys, that is the episode for today. Like I said, if you guys really want to go deeper into what I did step by step, including, and I also include there are lots of mantras in there, but the exact ritual I started doing to help calm my nervous system down, okay, and to finally put everybody off of a pedestal. All right, check out my Decentering Men Journal. It's in the description box below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, share this video for somebody who may need it. And with that being said, I will speak to you guys in the next podcast episode.